What's going on, designers? Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this YouTube banner with a Fortnite theme. A few of my viewers have been asking for this, so it's a much needed thing, and obviously a lot of designers and YouTubers need this for their account to make it look interesting and feasible for other people to subscribe to. This is what I'm going to create today. Bear with me, it's going to take a while, might take 20 minutes. It's not going to be quick because it's quite a finite design, but if you stick through it, I promise you'll be pleased with the result at the end. Let's get straight into it. So the first thing you want to go and do is get this Desire graphics pack. Now this is done by Visual Arts. He's a YouTuber as well. You should go check him out. I'll leave his link in the description. He does all these packs which add color corrections, smoke effects, explosions, you name it. And it's only £1, and it would be a real help to him, I'm sure. But if you want to create the effect that I've got with my design, you're going to need this as part of it because it adds a lot of different corrections, but you can still create the design without it. You'll just have to skip the first bit of the video. The next thing you're going to need to do is go and pick a character that you want on your banner. This account is probably the best because it has all the PNGs already done, so they're all cut out. I've already chosen my account, but obviously you can pick whichever one you want. They're all cut out, like the dragon, the gas mask man. There's loads on here, all the Fortnite characters you want, obviously. And then you're going to need to go to this link, which has 5k pictures in it, and then you click that, and then it will load up this next page, and then there's 5k images of different parts of the Fortnite map. Obviously some of them are a bit old. You don't need to use the old ones, you can use the new ones. It doesn't really matter what you use, to be honest, because it's just going to be in the background. I chose, I think, this one. That's the one I chose, of Tilted Towers. Even though it's not there anymore, it doesn't really matter because you don't see it too much. If you want to try and find a different wallpaper just on Google Images, you can do that as well. The only reason I've picked these is because they are 5k. So that's that, and obviously I'll leave all these links in the description. You just need to click on them and it'll take you straight to this point. Then you need to go to this page, which is the font, and you need to download this and install it to your Photoshop, otherwise the name will just not look right. This is the font that Fortnite use. The next thing is going to be this graphics pack from Visual Arts as well. I'll leave this link to the video in the description, and then the last thing you're going to need is to get a YouTube banner template. That's all for now. I'm going to head back over to Photoshop and I'm going to start the design. Right, so I have my banner template. This is what you'll be presented with. You'll have this here, and then you'll have the top of the banner. The top of the banner is to get rid of all the stuff you're not going to see, and then this bit here is what you're actually going to see. So I've got my graphics pack, I've got my other graphics pack, which is the Desire one, and I've got my template. So the first thing to do is get your image. Right, so now I'm going to put my image in, just going to grab and drop it in, and as you'll see, it overtakes the black outline. Now this isn't something you don't want to see, obviously. You want to put it below that bit, and then you can sort of move it around and then just sort of see which bits you want showing. I think I chose something like this before. It doesn't matter too much because this is obviously going to be a background layer, but you want it to look right and maybe enlarge it a bit just so there you go. Right, so that's the first step done. The next thing we need to do is add a gradient map to this. So if we go down to our options down here and then we click gradient map, we're going to be presented with this menu. Now you don't want a red and white, you want a black to grey, something like so. Don't need it to be too grey, something that's fine. And then we're just going to go off that and then right click and create clipping mask. So that is only going to affect the background layer now. Now the next thing you're going to need to do is get your color corrections. Now you're going to get this from the Desire graphics pack. So if we go down to CCs here and we turn off that top layer so we can see what's going on, then you turn on this bottom image and then you turn these on as you go through, and as you can see they change the color of the image. The best thing to do is drag this whole layer, the CC, drag it across to background layer here, and then you want to obviously drag and drop or whatever, click OK, and then you're going to go down, turn that off, and now if we apply these we can see the change. Now you can use multiple ones at once, but obviously you don't want it to be too dark like so. I quite like the blue hazy effect it has, so I've picked my color corrections. I've picked 3. I've picked the first one, second one, no, the third one, and the last one. So that's that for the Desire pack. Now we're going to go to the free pack we got, the Fortnite GFX pack, and then we're going to go down again to color corrections and turn it on, turn that image off, and now we can apply different ones because these are quite lighter ones, like so. Now we're just going to do the same again, get the pack, drag it across, Right, so once you've got your color corrections into the layer, the next thing you're going to want to do is pick which ones you want to use. So I'm going to use quite a blue one, quite a saturated one, and that will probably do for me. Because once, depending on what you want to choose, so I'm gonna make it quite grey actually. So I'm just gonna pick the first one. So now we've duplicated our color correction. Now there's 2 of them. So that's it for that background. The next thing we're going to do is move on to the text. Let's get straight into it. Right, so you're going to get your text tool, pick your Burbank text, which is going to be Burbank Big Regular. Now we're going to be presented with this. You're just going to want to type your name. I'm going to just type name because it's easier for me. And then you're going to want to resize it just so it fits as much as you want it to fit, basically. So I'm going to do that. Now I've got that. Now the next thing to do is add some corrections. This is going to be quite crucial to the text looking good, basically. There's going to need to be some inner glows, some gradient overlays, and some shadowing. So if you double click on the name, actually before you do that, duplicate this layer, Command J, and then you can put that one below. And now we're just going to focus on the first one. So now we're presented with this layer style layer, and we're going to click gradient overlay, we're going to click drop shadow, and we're going to click inner glow. Right, so we've got our gradient overlay. I'm just going to reset this back to basics. Actually, I'm going to save this one, and then I'm going to reset this back to black and white. Obviously we don't want it to look like this, so we want a white, basically a white to a grey, just so you can see a subtle change, like so. And you can choose what side you want it on, like on the top or on the bottom. It doesn't really matter too much. It's just a little effect it's going to add. I don't really mind where you put it. You can click reverse or unclick it. I'm going to have mine at the top just because I think it looks better. And then if you see with the inner glow, it adds a sort of an outline around the edge of the text. And then there's going to be a drop shadow, which is going to be on multiply, and you're going to want this down to 30% probably. Distance 0, spread 16, size 18. What you need to do next is basically duplicate this, like I have with the copy down here. Double click it, get your inner glow again, get your drop shadow again, and your gradient overlay. But this time with the gradient overlay, you're going to pick your own colors, like here. So I've picked a red to orange. It's got to be like a gradient. I'm going for a red themed background, so that's why I've picked this. And I'm just going to click OK. Obviously you can't see it, so you get your arrow keys on your keyboard and just click to the side and then click down a few times. Just by moving it a tiny bit, we've created sort of that 3D effect and made the type look really clean and good. We've got our copy, we've got both layers, we've got the effects on them. That's it for the text. Moving on. So the next thing you're going to want to do is to get your action arrows. So you can find these online. They are really easy to download. They're just action lines like that. So you'll find, if you just type that in on Google Images, you'll find this image and you just download it, and then you go down to screen probably. That'll probably be your best bet, like so. And then you're going to put this below, and I'm gonna put your color corrections at the top of the design, like so. Obviously it changes the color a bit of everything, but it makes it look a bit more together. Now what I'm going to do is move this up, not the color correction, sorry. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to move it so I can see more of the arrows, like so. Now it doesn't matter too much about how many arrows you got on each side. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. It's just there for an effect. Now I've got it, I'm going to choose to add another gradient map, and this time I'm going to clip it to that layer, and then I'm going to do a black to red. So if I click that now, I've got black, and I'm just going to get the red that I picked here, probably, and go like so. There you go. As you can see, I've got the arrows, they are red, and it works quite nicely. Obviously it doesn't look great at the moment. That's acceptable because we are only just getting started with this design. As a design point of view, we've got the arrows now. That bit's all done. I'm just gonna lock both of those layers just so I don't keep clicking on them. So gradient map clip to the action lines, red, done. Text is done. I'm just going to group all these together just so we can know which is which is a good tip for you guys to do. Right, so we've got our action lines, we've got our name, Next thing to do is probably add explosions, which will add another element of surprise to this banner. So you're going to need to go to your Fortnite pack, which is your free one, and then you can go down to items, I think it is. Go to PNGs, get this explosion, drag it across, and now you have an explosion, which is going to really help enhance this design. Next thing you're going to need to do is zoom in a bit just so you can see, because as you can see here there's an outline around, so you want to get rid of that basically. I'm just going to get my eraser tool and make sure it's not a smart object and just click away. Now you can see it's gone, still got the nice explosion. You're going to need to add another gradient map to this, so if we move it below that, we're going to add a gradient map, clip it to the explosion. Obviously you can see it doesn't look very good there. Just going to change it to black and white, and then I'm going to double click black, and then we're going to go red again. If I get that red like so, as you can see it looks quite dark and looks a bit hazy really. You can sort of change it to, instead of being like dark, you can change it to be a bit grey. It's up to you really what you choose and what type of red you choose as well. Like you can choose yellow, different colour red like so, like I've done. That works well. So I've got that, I've got those two, I've got my explosion, I'm going to group them together. Explosion. Now I'm just gonna move the explosion below the text like so. Now as you can see we've got quite a nice effect going on there. Quite a nice explosion behind the text. We can move it just so it looks quite nice there. And then what we're going to need to do is get the explosion layer again and Command J this twice. So now we've got 2 or 3 even. Zoom out, not so much. Zoom in a bit. There we go. Right. So now we've got our 3 explosions, obviously all in the same area. You're going to move these. Maybe one can go here, up here or something. It doesn't really matter where they go. You can pick, it's up to you. I'm going to Command T that one, and then I'm going to move it over here. What you're trying to do is add different effects in different areas, and you can rotate them as well, just so it doesn't look too much the same. I'm going to lock the action lines as well so I don't keep clicking on them. And then if I move this up a bit more as well and then rotate it, I'm just going to have quite a nice effect going on here. So as you can see, it's all starting to slowly come together. The next thing you're going to want to do is probably get the smoke. Now let's get straight into that. Right, so now we're going to add our smoke. You can sort of choose which pack you want to get it off. Both of them have certain different ones, but I'm going to go to the Desire pack because obviously we paid for it and it's worth using. If you scroll down, you'll have your smoke image down the bottom. I've already got mine created, so as you can see here I've got the smoke layer and then I've got a gradient map. This is to change the color of the smoke. So if I double click that, that's the gradient I've got. I've got a black to a red. Now this is where you're going to really merge the colors together and make it look really clean and nice. So if I go off that, I'm just going to drag and drop this. If I drag them like that, and then like so, there we go. Now we've got our red. See, as you can see, it's quite harshly covered the whole thing. Now we want this above the text, like so. Now, the reason it's gone like this is because I haven't clipped the gradient map to the smoke, like so. There you go, the smoke. Now I can just Command T the smoke and make it bigger, make it stand out nicer. Add that red hazy effect that we were looking for. Probably make your computer lag a bit because it's quite a big file. Just move it about, decide where you want it to go, like that, like I've decided there, and that's about it really. The next thing you're going to need to choose is probably get another smoke image, group those together, click smoke, and then if I Command J that, and if I move it across, because you want this to sort of fill out the image. You don't want it to look too just boring. You want it to fill out the image like so. If I drag this across a bit more, now as you can see that background is sort of starting to blend in and not be so prominent and not standing out too much. The next thing you're going to need to do is probably either get your character or add an ellipse at the top. So we're probably going to add the ellipse. So if you go below click the text layer and then click add new layer like so. You're going to want to get your brush, soft brush, quite big, probably about 400. Yeah, that'll do. And then you're going to change your color to white, and then you're just going to click like that. As you can see, we've created a nice little ellipse at the top. Now you can change it to screen if you want. Probably look better if you change it to screen. It just adds a nice little color effect over the top of the name. Right, so what we're going to do now, I'm just going to click on my explosions and I'm going to change them to black just so I can get a better feel for the design, just so there's not too much going on. If I just undo that, now if I just get this bit of a harsher red, maybe something like a bit darker, obviously you can see the black coming through a bit more. I'm just going to push that along, make it look a bit redder. Don't have to do this for everything, you can choose what you do it for. I'm just going to pick that one because I think it looks better, and then I'm going to move this one down just a bit more, just so it looks a bit more like my original design. And the one in the middle's fine, that's perfect. Now we've got our smoke, we've got our name layer, that's all fine. Next thing you're going to want to add is probably your character. So you should have downloaded this from the site I linked. Then you can just minimize it, go down. Don't worry about what size you want it. You can probably just have it to the side like so. I don't really mind how big you have it. It's up to you, it's personal preference, or how much you have showing in the image, just so it's not covering too much of the name. But obviously I can add like a shadow and stuff to it now. And now I've got my image. I'm just gonna leave it there because it's pretty much fine. It's already cut out for me, and I'm just gonna add some highlights. What you're gonna want to do is get a hue saturation layer and make it above, clip it to this, and then click colorize. Now get the saturation up and probably make it a really like nice red, and then go off that and then click Command I so it gets rid of it. Now you've inverted that. Now you can get your brush, make it quite small, and then you can just zoom in and you can just paint on the side of him the colour that you want. So you want to change it to white, so you're painting back on, and as you can see, if I just go down here, I'm painting a red highlight along his head, because obviously if it's due to lighting, the red is coming from over here and then it's shining on his back. So by doing this, I'm basically making it look more realistic. So then I can change it back to black, make the brush a little bit bigger. There we go. Now he's still got his highlights on, still there, and it just looks a lot cleaner on his head, like so. Now I'm going to do this one more time. I'm just going to click a hue saturation, colorize, and I'm going to clip it to him, and then I'm just going to make it probably really white, bring the saturation down a bit, and then I'm just going to go off it, click Command I. Now it's gone again. Now this is where we get the highlights coming in. We're just going to go to white again, and we're just going to sort of paint along the front of his face, sort of get our own like lighting effect going on. Then you can make your brush bigger, turn the opacity down, and just so it's there but it's not too prominent, but it looks a lot better. So as you can see, if I turn it off, it just adds a bit of an element to him, so it's not too like dull. That's all for the shadows. Now you can probably group those together. That's the man in there and his colors. Now there's about 2 or 3 more things we need to do. Probably gonna add some spots. These are just gonna be like dots of red painted around, so I'm gonna just click to my red color. I'm gonna go above the man and create a new layer, and this is where I'm just gonna get my brush, big brush, and just blotches of red. It doesn't matter too much where, you can have it wherever you want, in the corner, just to sort of fill in gaps which you should be red but aren't, or anything really. It doesn't really matter too much. And then you're going to go and screen, and it's just going to add an extra element of surprise to the design, something like that. Obviously it depends, it's completely up to you. So we've got that, and I forgot to add the shadow to the man, so I'm going to go into my group, click above the hue saturation, then I'm going to click new layer. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a black brush, change my color to black, get a brush, soft brush, and then I'm just going to sort of paint a shadow around there, just around there. Then I'm going to put this below my man, just so it's reduced basically. If you click multiply, then you can sort of figure out how much you want of that. I just want to have a subtle shadow on top of the text, just because obviously he's going to be there and that's where he's going to be looking. And then you just reduce the opacity to what you want, just so it's got a little shadow on there, because obviously you got to think about lighting and stuff, and if there was lighting, he would have a shadow because he's looking over top of the text. And then if we zoom back out, it just adds a bit of 3D-ness like that. So we're pretty much there, guys. Just need a few more things now, which I'm going to show you next. Now the next thing I'm going to add is probably a curves layer. It's just going to be simple curves. Go up here, and we're just going to make an S curve, just so we can bring out the colors like so, not so dark like that. That's a bit silly. Like so. As you can see, this has really brought out the color, and it looks like a bit of an explosion. You might think that the extra bit of red is not needed, so you can turn it off if you need, and then you can just have it like so. Or you can just do the red again now that you've added the curves, just so you can see what it'll actually look like. I'm going to leave it on just because I quite like it. That's pretty much it for the main design. As you can see, it's quite simple. Got our grey background, all the red explosions and stuff. Now we've got to add some particles, and then we're going to add blur around the edges, just so you can see the main focus is on the name. Adding particles, we're going to go to Desire Pack, and then we should be able to find particles at the top, like so. There's only going to be a few, I think. So yeah, second one down, grab that, take it over, not like that. Alright, grab that, take it over like so, and then put it on the top. Make it as big as you want. Then we're going to put it probably below the curves, and we're just going to sort of try and position it a bit, just so it's not too just like so, because adding particles just adds an extra element to the design, and reduce the opacity, but not too prominent, as I said. You can reduce it, you can put them below the man and stuff. You can choose where you want to put it. Wherever you do put it is going to add an extra effect to the design, or it's going to blend them in a bit more. That's that. Now is grab all of your stuff, and you're just going to want to group it all together. So if I select the background layer, go to all of those layers, and then click group. Then I'm going to just Command J and then Command E. So now you've merged this together, and then I'm going to Command J that again. If I turn that one off, probably select, I'm just going to go over, select the banner that I've chosen, and then I'm going to just select inverse, and then I'm just going to delete all that, hopefully. So we've still got our banner here. I'm going to deselect, and now I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to filter, and then I'm going to go Gaussian blur. This is going to blur the whole thing, as you can see. And then what we're going to do is we're going to layer mask this out, I think. We can either use a brush, or we can layer mask it. So I'm going to layer mask it out like so. Yeah, that works. So if I change this to solid black, yeah, then I'm going to increase the opacity, increase the brush size, and then I'm just going to zoom in. And as you can see from this, you can sort of paint back in what you want to see, depending on what you want to see. Obviously you can reduce your brush size when you go around here and just add in little bits. You don't have to add too much back in, and then you can keep the edges blurred like so, and then you just want to go to these two, you can turn them both on, and then you can just click merge layers, and that's pretty much it, guys. Then you've got your banner. As you can see, I've got the banner there. It's all done. Next thing you're going to need to do is export it. So it's just quick export as a PNG for your best quality export. You've got your man on there, you've got your name. Obviously, if you want to add social medias, you can add it along the side here, on the left or on the right, or below or above. It's up to you, personal preference. I tried to keep this tutorial quick. I hope you have learned something. I hope I haven't been too hard to follow. If I have, let me know in the comments, and I'll redo it. I'll do another tutorial on a different banner. Just let me know. I hope you've enjoyed this video, but that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.